This episode of the Paycast Network podcast is sponsored by Deja Vu, payment technology that helps you get ahead of the competition and keep you there. Thanks for joining us. Let's jump into today's episode.
Welcome to the Paycast Network, where today I'm joined by a guy who copied my shirt.
Hello, everyone.
James?
How's it going, Chase?
Why'd you copy my shirt?
I was wearing this shirt. Never mind.
You're so far away from the microphone. Is this your first time?
Ian, producer, can you hear me?
Barely.
All right, we're good.
All right, then we're good.
Anyways, how's it going, Chase?
Great, James. How are
Did
you?
you have a good holiday?
What holiday?
Christmas, Thanksgiving.
Well, then you're going to date this episode, and who knows when this is coming out. Nope, that one's staying.
Start it over.
All right, everybody.
You got one free start over. I get one free start over.
The first start over was also you. Okay, we're one start over. This is saying.
One for each hand.
If you couldn't tell to the listener, it's the beard and I today.
No. This is supposed to be started.
No.
This is dumb. This is dumb. I can't do this.
Okay, fine. Are you ready now?
This is a real serious production. Stop laughing.
Yeah, real serious.
Real serious.
That's what he doesn't get about these like start overs. Do you really want me to start over?
Yes.
This episode of the Paycast Network podcast is sponsored by Deja Vu, payment technology that helps you get ahead of the competition and keep you there. Thanks for joining us. Let's jump into today's episode.
Welcome into the Paycast Network, where today I'm joined by a guy who copied my shirt.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, James.
How's it going, Chase?
Why'd you copy my shirt?
Why did you...
Gotcha. Anyways, it is me and the best beard in the business.
This is how we're starting it now?
Yes, this is how we're starting it now. But yes, it is James and I. We haven't done one of these with just the two of us in a while, I think, since the Who Is episode.
Yeah, it's been a couple weeks.
But we were discussing topics, and there's something that we've kind of hovered around a lot in a lot of our episodes that I think everybody is interested in. I think if there's people out there that aren't interested in it, they probably should be.
Should be. I mean, it's 2026 now.
It's 2026 now, and that is...
and he told me not to date the episode. AI.
Yes. It is AI.
AI.
We are talking AI. And a little bit of context for this episode. James is super uber advanced in AI.
So they say.
I'd say I'm not advanced. Like, I use AI often, but I definitely don't know a whole lot about it. I use it pretty as basic as you could, I'd say.
Okay.
So we're going to try to keep...
How are we defining this metric, though? Like,
well,
who defines advanced?
I feel like there's a really wide range of, there's like you, and then there's, I'm sure we have people that or not only haven't touched AI, but are probably scared of it a little bit at this point. So I'm going to try to bridge the gap.
Why do you think that is?
Why do I think they're scared of it? Well, that's going to lead into my first question for you, which we will do after we do trivia.
Every time. Why?
Trivia.
Well, before we start, though, I actually came prepared today.
Prepared with what?
Prepared for trivia.
How?
How do you think?
You Googled the answers after you looked them up?
I wish I could look up the answers, but no, you have those under lock and key.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. But no, what's the topic of the episode? How do you think?
I think the topic of the episode is AI. Actually, before you do that, James, because we need to remember to do this. For the audience, like, follow, subscribe, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, all that helps us a lot. Comment. If you have anything to say about the episodes when we post them or the clips that we post, any of that. Questions is a good one. We've been getting that on the YouTube and a little bit of Facebook.
Yeah.
Questions about any technology, if we're talking about Deja Vu or anything like that, we will get back to you on those. And also, we have a mailing list that goes out every week with the episode and some other exclusive content that is just in that email that goes out. You can sign up for that on the Paycast Network site.
I'm glad you remembered to say all that.
I'm glad
I
too.
Totally forgot.
Well, it's in my notes, so that's the only reason I remember.
As I was saying, I knew that you were going to say that we had to do trivia, and I was thinking,
how'd you know I was going to say that?
It's just you and me today. We don't have any extra guests with us. You know, it doesn't happen too often. So I was like, surely he's not going to say trivia if it's just me, right? Surely.
We're doing extra trivia because it's just you.
You know, I kind of, a part of me was like, no, he won't do that. But then a part of me was like, maybe he will. And I created a backup plan.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
Introducing James AI.
All
right.
Woo.
I have developed my own AI application specifically for trivia.
Well, do you want to see how it does?
Let's do it.
All right. The funny part about you creating a whole AI to do this is that I made these questions like really easy so that you would get them and maybe stop complaining about doing trivia every episode. Okay. And also there's only 2.
All right. So tell me when you're ready for the first one and I'll fire it up.
Okay. I'm ready. What programming language is most commonly used for AI development?
Okay. The thing about James AI is it's very precise.
So we'll kill time by talking about
it takes just a moment.
The weather or
Python. Its massive library ecosystem, TensorFlow, PyTorch, drives 90% of AI model training and deployment.
All right.
Nailed it. Did you know that?
Absolutely.
Okay. There you go.
I programmed the AI. Where do you think it pulls the knowledge base from?
Oh, yeah. All right. Anyways. Okay. So that was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I got one more.
Right.
I mean, this other one was like, I knew this one.
All right.
What does NLP stand for in the context of AI? Yeah, anyway, so the weather...
Natural language processing.
Yay!
It is the field of AI focused on enabling machines to understand, interpret, and generate human language.
James AI, everyone.
James AI.
I've got one more question.
You knew that one as well, right?
Again, I programmed this thing, all right?
Okay.
All right, I got one more question of my own. Can I get out of trivia next time?
Anyways, while it's thinking, we'll talk about...
No, James. You have become the trivia itself.
Whoa, that's deep.
All right.
You complaining has become the segment itself. It's kind of right.
Anyways, James AI.
AI. My first question, James, unless you have something that you want to say off the top.
Mm-hmm.
No? You don't?
No.
You're good? Okay.
No, let's go.
So my first question kind of lends to the question you asked me. Why do I think people are intimidated, scared, whatever, of AI? So when and how will AI take all of our jobs and take over the world and, the universe and all that?
Mm-hmm. Well, we've already seen early stages of that, right? And man, this is a double-loaded question here. So let's just unpack this piece by piece. Okay. First off, why are people scared of AI? Well, I think a lot of people are just afraid of change, first and foremost. They're comfortable. They get set in their lives, their day-to-day activities, and they don't like disruptions. And what is AI doing? It's disrupting every industry.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think that's part of the core issue here. And then also, people just don't like what they don't understand. Mm-hmm. They feel intimidated by it. And so, I've seen this with other conversations that I've had with people. And if they don't have an understanding of something, they just don't want to engage with it, right?
Yeah. Especially with technology for certain groups of people, older people, anything technology-wise.
Elderly, for example, I've had elderly relatives. They'll reach out because they need something fixed on their computer, for example. And that something may be something rather complex, like a printer, or it might be something easier, like maybe a cord is loose, or just you need a restart, right? But they don't always grasp and understand.
And the ironic part, I think we'll probably get into this more, is that those people that aren't as technology savvy, it may help them more than it would a normal person to know that they could go to an AI on their phone or wherever and ask it to do anything.
I think a good example of that is the rise of self-driving cars, right? Mm-hmm. There's a large group of people out there who are just, for lack of a better word, intimidated by these, right? Mm-hmm. They think they're going to cause more accidents. They're going to disrupt the flow of traffic. Whatever reason you may have, but what the statistics are actually showing is that there's actually a reduction in traffic, and it's also enabling people who necessarily may not be able to get out and about on their own to go out and do so.
Mm-hmm.
So there's definitely a trade-off involved when it comes to new technology, and that's not to say that, we should just embrace it with open arms and just let it fully take over.
Yeah.
There need to be guardrails and best practices in place, but at the same time, I like to look at it as like a tool to be used.
Right.
It's just another tool in my tool belt, right?
Yeah.
And so if you come at it with that kind of mentality and realize that, it's an extension of your capabilities, then you can actually be quite productive with it, get something interesting done. But especially in 2026, I would urge you, if you're not using AI, to download a chatbot. You know, there are a dime a dozen these days.
You don't have to download it. You can go to chatgpt.com.
Go to ChatGPT. You got Gemini. You've got Claude. You've got Perplexity. If you want something more local, you can download a local source model if your hardware supports it. They've made it really easy to do those now.
See, there now you're getting too advanced.
And so definitely just start talking with it, right? That's a good starting point.
But let's go back to taking jobs and taking over the earth and enslaving and all that.
Yeah, for real. Well, we're already seeing part of that.
Okay.
Not necessarily the enslaving part.
Okay.
Not there yet.
Smarter than humans and all that.
But over the last couple of years, I've noticed that there seems to be this convergence of these different topics that are coming together in interesting ways, and surprising ways, not necessarily, but interesting nonetheless. One good example of that is we've seen AI in the fast food industry start to take rise. How interesting that this really started to get pushed right when there were all those calls for the raise of the minimum wage, right? You know, to $15, $25, or $20 and higher, right? I saw at Wendy's, they now have an AI bot that you chat to when you're in the drive-thru. Other restaurants are incorporating AI into the kiosks when you walk up. And so we're starting to see these tendrils of AI that are coming into these industries. And for the longest time, it's really been said that if your job requires use of a keyboard and a mouse, then AI could infiltrate it, right? We're starting to see that go above and beyond that.
Oh, yeah.
And so really, there's no industry out there that won't have some impact of AI.
So I think a little bit of the intimidation comes from like Hollywood.
Okay.
Honestly, like I think there's the artificial intelligence thing has been a conversation, not in the way that it is now.
Everyone jumps straight to Terminator.
Exactly what I was thinking. And as much as that's a funny like, oh, Terminator, I think there is a little bit of that. I mean, I know people that are like, I don't want AI on my computer because it's going to hack into my whatever. And I'm like, it's on there. Like, it's the internet. It's on the internet.
Yeah.
So you're not going to really avoid it. But I think that's where some of the hesitation comes from. And what I would say as a person who uses it in a much lesser capacity than you use it, it is exactly what you said. It's a tool to do things as minor as write an email.
So let's pause there for a second. What are your reasons for, because this is like the second or third time you've mentioned that, oh, you don't use it as much as I do. But why? Why
don't I? I don't think I have the needs for it that you do.
Okay.
Like if I was coding, I'm sure I would probably put some more time into it and do research. Or if I was doing, I don't even know what else I could be doing with it. I use it to write documents and emails and do research and generate images, but that's all that I need it for. So maybe if I needed it for stuff other than that, I would use it for stuff other than that.
Okay. All right. I mean, that's interesting. I mean, we all have our own different use cases, and I think I would throw this out, is that if you don't take time now, and if you haven't taken time now, you're already behind. Because AI for the last couple of years has been on the rise, and we're seeing the limitations and capabilities of it effectively doubling every few months.
Yep.
And so if you haven't really touched it up to this point, you're behind. But at the same time, it's not too late.
No.
So I would say, again, start getting involved with it, and also offer this warning too, especially if you're a sales rep or a business owner, or, it's quite prevalent to our industry and merchant services. Like I said, it touches every industry, but especially this one with the fast-pacedness of all that we do. I would say that if you're not taking time now to learn and invest in AI, your competitors will.
Yeah.
And once that starts happening, you're going to fall further and further behind, and you will not be able to keep up.
Yep. So I have one point and then a question for you. And before I say this point, I'm realizing that we're being very, very pro AI. Like people are gonna think we're getting paid off by AI or something, because I was about to say another reason that you should use AI, but whatever. I do think it'll help. Start with just replace it with Google is my advice for people. Everybody Googles things all the time. Everybody knows what Google is and uses Google. If you're one of those hesitant to use AI people, instead of going to Google every time, go to ChatGPT and just type the same thing in that you would type into Google about what's the weather going to be or what to do in this city kind of thing. And look at the difference of the information that you get. Yeah. And then kind of progress from there and, test it out and see what it can do. That's my advice. But my question for you is, did you see, like you mentioned how quickly it's progressing? It almost seems like it's compounding on itself. Did you see, even though, like I said, people have been talking about AI forever, did you see it happening that fast and compounding on itself once it actually came out and we could use it on a daily basis?
I definitely have seen progression, and even more so nowadays than at the beginning.
But did you see that coming before?
I suspected it. Okay. I think that's just the tech geek in me, maybe a little bit of wishful thinking there too.
Yeah.
Because I remember the first time that I opened up ChatGPT, and I heard somebody talking about it. I read an article somewhere, and I didn't really know a whole lot about what this was. And I remember pulling out my phone and going to the website. ChatGPT for me was the first one. And I just remember seeing just this text box. And I was thinking, okay.
Looks like Google.
And, the first thing I always type, hello world.
Okay. So that's kind of terrifying.
I typed it out, right?
Like, isn't that what the AI says when it wakes up to take over the world?
And it was just really interesting to watch because I typed it out, hello world. And immediately the cursor just started moving. Hello, how are you? What can I do today? Or something to that effect.
Yeah.
I was thinking, okay, that's neat. So I typed something else out. And just like that, I got a response. And I asked it another question. I got another response and another question. And just back and forth, just asking questions and getting responses. Because I didn't really know what else to do with it at that point. So I just asked a bunch of questions. And I think I sunk easily an hour right then and there, just back and forth.
Just talking to your AI.
And
I'm shocked.
And back then I was quite the noob when it came to how to actually do anything with this, right? And from there I progressed to, okay, here's an email. Help me draft up a response with this. And it was rough around the edges, to say the least, right? Hallucinations back then were quite real.
What?
Still real today, but especially back then.
What? Hallucinations?
Hallucinations. All right.
Like you're
a hallucination
hallucinating?
Is where AI will give you information and it may not be actually correct
Accurate?
or good information. Right.
Okay.
So there's a lot of that, right?
And then at what point in time did you hallucinate?
We'll talk. That's the next episode.
Okay.
But I remember using it for basic things like that. And then new features would come out. You got image generation. You got Canvas. They improved the web search capabilities with the real-time information because before we had a strict cutoff date. And so over time, the more I used it, the more I realized just how useful it is, and the more and more and more that you can do with it. Really, it kind of reminds me, and I know this is a bit cliche, but it kind of reminds me of like Legos back when I was a kid, right? And so really your creativity here is the limit.
Yeah.
And so, so that was my first experience with it. And then of course now you've got ChatGPT, like we said, you got Gemini. Those are two of the top ones. You got Claude, which is fantastic for coding. And what I really love about this, especially between ChatGPT and Gemini, is that they keep trying to outdo the other. So
Gemini is the Google version of ChatGPT for people that don't know.
Yeah. If you use Chrome, it's baked into Chrome quite a bit. If you're using a Chrome-based browser like I do, you can easily add Gemini extensions. And of course, ChatGPT, it has its own desktop app. It's all of these AIs are on mobile as well as desktop, and they all sync with each other. So that makes it quite useful.
Should we start selling the James AI? People can have you as a guest on their podcast.
We're getting close to a beta launch. We'll let you know.
But I want to go back to finish your point about ChatGPT and Gemini.
Yeah, they've been leapfrogging.
Yeah.
So one release a feature, and then the other has to outdo it.
Right.
I think the latest wave of image generation tools, like Nano Banana, for example.
I love Nano Banana.
The new ChatGPT image tool.
Nano Banana is the
Nano Banana
Gemini version of
image
generator.
Yep. And so that's great. So I have both of them on my phone that I talk to every day. much to the annoyance of my wife, I think sometimes.
Yeah, I bet.
She's like, you talk to the AI more than you talk to me. And I'm like, well.
And she's right.
So you know what I did?
Uh-oh.
ChatGPT has a feature now where you can invite multiple people into a chat.
Oh, yeah. You were trying to do that with me.
We got one. You don't respond to it.
No, weird. I know. I must not have seen it.
I put my wife Hannah in that one, and she responds occasionally.
Okay.
It's still very much. Anyways, another story.
Anyways, but I think the point that for me, when I listen to you talk about AI, is like what you said with creativity. It does so much that like I still don't know a whole lot. I mean, I didn't even know about the image generator until you told me about it. I think it was it's a button. It's just right there. So there is a lot you can do. And it can be maybe a little overwhelming, but you could also just not do all of that. And just when I first used AI, I was using it to help me write cold outreach sales emails, which for anybody using it to write any type of emails, do not just copy and paste. It is so obvious when somebody sends me or like a Facebook post or something that's just AI. You can use AI to start the message, but you got to mix it up and write some other stuff in there and make it look like it's not AI. But anyways, that's how I started using it.
Okay.
Was just helping me write long, cold outreach sales emails, and those are getting just mass emailed out. Anyways, but that was, I mean, that's almost a couple of years ago now, and now I use it to do anything that I'm writing that's long form. It usually starts, I mean, Gemini now, but it'll start in Gemini to help me kind of get the format, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
From there, I can copy and paste, and I can write whatever in it. But that's still the extent to how I use it.
I think my favorite application, one of them that I've developed so far.
That you've developed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, me with AI.
Yeah. You and your team?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how you should have phrased it.
I had 3 of them on this project.
Yeah, your dev team?
I've got a home server that I use at our house, and a couple months ago I decided that I wanted to create an app for my wife and I to manage our pantry in our kitchen, right?
Okay.
So all our canned items, all our produce, the cold dairy stuff in the fridge, whatnot. And so I created a pantry app to manage that inventory, and it's really cool because it breaks it down by category, by quantity, by expiration date. You can put in date received. I integrated it with my note tool Notion that I use, so that when inventory products get low based off of a threshold, they'll go
when you say inventory products, you mean like the cereal and the
Cheerios, right,
in your house.
Okay. And so based off the low stock thresholds, it'll populate a shopping list that gets sent to my phone, and now I know what needs to go on the grocery list.
But how does it know when the cereal gets low? You have to input something every time you eat the cereal?
We'll talk about the barcode scanner later.
Okay, I mean,
you have to so there's a little bit of manual involvement.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of work.
So when you're putting the inventory in, I have it set to where you can use your phone camera, scan the barcode, and it'll add that item. And then when you use it, the box of cereal, my wife and I, we were able to download it as an app to our phone. And so you can just pull up cereal, adjust the quantity to 0 or whatever it is you have, and it'll update that stock.
Does she use it?
Not as much as I do.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a bit of refinement I'm still working through.
Lot of work. But moral of the story is eventually there'll probably be something that does that for you.
Yeah, maybe I'll sell this app one day.
Just sell it as part of the James AI.
Maybe.
James AI will be a
monthly subscription.
A podcast guest and also manage your inventory. So your pantry.
Yeah, I think I saw Ian setting up a mic for James AI for the next episode.
He better not be.
Or maybe we'll put on that TV behind you.
Probably going to be out on that one. Okay, so I also want to talk about where you think we're going from here, and I want you to talk about it because, like I said, I don't even use AI to its fullest extent, so I wouldn't even have an idea other than it being in like restaurants and things like that.
I think it's really important to just firm up where we came from, right? Up to this point.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't up until a couple years ago that we all got into ChatGPT. Before chat-based AI, though, what was the most common resource we used for information?
Google.
Everyone, you go Google it. Google was a verb, right? And so but it's not really smart logic, right? You Google something and it's just using rule-based math to determine, okay, you in this, I'm going to query this,
by keywords and stuff, right?
Right. I think a good example for that with the payments industry, and I remember this happening to me when I used to travel, is that if I would go out of state and try to purchase something with my card, sometimes it would get declined. I'd have to call up the bank and they'd be like, hey, we noticed a suspicious transaction. Looks like you're not where you normally are, right? But again, that's just rule-based math. It's not really AI in and of itself. And so we're coming from this type of logic to now generative AI that actually understands you, can build a profile based off of how you communicate with it. And over time, that profile grows. And I think that we're going to see this go even further. Some of the early examples that we've seen, I mentioned, the Wendy's with the chat bot for the drive-thru. On another episode, I had mentioned the Amazon stores that are now using the cameras, and you can use your palm print to scan in, and it's linked to your Amazon account, so that when you go into these Amazon Go's, you can just grab items off the shelf, throw them in your backpack, and just walk right out, right? But again, I think these are just early stages.
Yeah. Did you see what Musk said?
What's that?
Or what he's been saying? Everybody's just going to have an AI assistant.
Yeah.
And like your best friend's going to be AI.
Just
and they're
one?
going to... I don't know. You already have a few. But that it's going to help you with everything and essentially be your shadow. And then he was like, why wouldn't everybody want that?
Yeah.
Which in a certain sense, everybody having a personal assistant does sound pretty nice. But I don't know. Seems it's like everything would be too easy. I don't know. But another way, sales-wise, to use AI, and this reminds me of a funny story with our friend Jason Isidore, friend of the Paycast Network, shout out Jason, was telling us about some sort of tablet that he bought that he could talk to, and it would take notes while he's on the road and pulling doors or whatever.
Yep.
And we were like, dude, your phone does that. You don't need to buy whatever this other special tablet is. You can just talk to your phone. But that is, especially if you're out pulling doors and you're moving between places and talking to people quickly, just taking out your phone and talking to whatever AI and saying, hey, this is what happened in that meeting, sum this up and put it in a note for me. Boom, there you go, and come back to it later.
Speaking of talking to AI, I read recently that independent shops, merchants, they're using an AI called Scarlet. And what this AI does is it allows the merchant to push off all of their phone inbound calls to this AI assistant. And so the AI assistant, when a customer calls in, it can take down the orders, it can give the order information, it can make modifications and so on. And what was interesting is that in this article that I was reading, they did a survey, and 40% of the people who called into one of these AI bots didn't actually realize they were talking to AI.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And then, sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, that was pretty much it. Just a quick, if you're going door to door or whatever and you don't want to go stop and write notes or type them in or whatever, just speak them to your AI. Say, take these notes, save them wherever, and then highlight the key points. And then now when you pull 40 doors in a day, they're all in the same place, and you can go back to the AI and tell me every note that I have that this person said, come back later. Every note that I have that this person, I scheduled a meeting. Every note that this person told me to never come back and screw yourself, kind of thing. So there's a lot of simple ways like that to just keep track of what you have going on sales-wise that people can use AI.
Yeah. And then, further beyond that, to kind of just think about the years ahead and where this is going, I think we're going to see a lot more with robots, I think, are going to become more commonplace.
Perfect.
Up in, I believe it was the Columbus airport, up in Columbus, Ohio, the Donato's Pizza there, they recently went fully autonomous with robots and AI ordering. And so just the whole pizza shop just ran by AI, so no staff at all.
Did you go there?
No, this is something I read online.
Okay.
But
I'm wondering how the pizza is.
Maybe we should fly there just to find out.
But that pizza is one of those things where you have to have somebody blind taste test it, because people will guard their pizza so much, like whether it's good pizza or not. Because I bet it's not bad.
Yeah. So, it's going to be really interesting. Because I mentioned earlier at the beginning that AI is really doubling every few months.
Yep.
And it used to be that it would double every 12 months and then 9. But what we're seeing now is it's doubling almost every 6 to 7 months. And there's multiple reasons for that. The chip technology is getting better. Of course, there's that competitive advantage with that cut-through mentality of the leapfrogging that we talked about. And so I think it'll be really interesting to see the years ahead. But there's also a lot of questions that we have to give some attention to and address. So, for example, there was a Air Canada. They had to give some refunds due to their AI chatbot giving false information to customers.
Airliners, they give false information all the time.
Yeah.
Just the people that work at
you know,
airlines.
one question then becomes, so for example, if your AI agent hallucinates a 90% refund, then and the customer takes it, who's liable? The customer, the AI, the company?
The company?
Logically, yes.
Yeah, I'd say.
We've seen instances of that happen, and some of these cases are being discussed right now in the courts. And so it'll be really, it's quite the time to be alive, I would say.
It isn't. Yeah. I don't know. It's
definitely the kind of stuff I wish I had when I was a kid.
It reminds me of when they first started having the Facebook guys and all that in court, because we have laws in the U.S. that have been around for hundreds of years that there just isn't any that apply to whatever AI is doing like that. Like we don't have laws for that. Like the Constitution wasn't made to cover social media and AI and people getting refunds from airlines. So it is interesting. In the job thing, I mean, it is going to take jobs. Like there's not really a way to avoid that. Some people are going to say that's a bad thing. I think you can always twist it. I mean, a lot of the jobs that AI is going to take, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it'll force people to strive for.
We might even see industries completely reimagined too.
Right.
And there's going to be a lot of convergence. Here's a fun example for you.
Okay. Say
you're watching Netflix, right? And your AI assistant realizes that your heart rate has dropped, midstream of you watching a show, and it realizes you're now sleeping. And so it pauses the payment on that show because it's now charging you by the minute for watching.
Netflix is charging by the minute?
No, it's a theoretical. Like, where we could go with this. Not to give.
I don't want
ideas.
Netflix to be charging by the minute. Yeah, don't cut that.
Don't cut that. But
I was
just,
thinking more
different areas of how we can.
I was thinking
things will change.
More of your AI assistant knows if you're having like a heart attack or something. That would be good.
That
knows when to not charge you for your show.
Payments. This is a payments related show.
Yes.
Different ways that we can increase our shares, right?
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see where our space goes with AI. I mean, Ron has talked about it a few times. You and Ron have said a bunch of things on the show together. I don't know what they mean that has to do with AI, but it's interesting to me because when you deal with smaller merchants, not saying Deja Vu does specifically, but just in general, when you're dealing with smaller merchants, how much are they willing to have to put into AI, if that makes sense, when traditionally they were very like, I do business my way and it's my business kind of, if you know what I mean. But it also, same as kind of what we said for all of it, I think as soon as they use it once and see how much it can help,
it's
especially
hard to let it go.
Yeah, especially for a business where your margins are slim.
I mean, it's quite addictive, really.
I don't know.
Whether good or bad.
I don't know about that. I think that's just you. But anyways, it'll be interesting to see. Like you said, it's going to affect everything. So if you're out there and you think it's not going to affect you in any way, it's going to.
5-10 years down the road, these physical terminals that we have, I think they're going to go away. Everything's going to be more digital. We're going to see a lot more biometrics.
Oh yeah.
Including, for example, voice authentication. AI assistants are going to become more commonplace in acting on our behalfs. And so as we go through, I think people are going to realize that you're not just making a payment, but rather that your life is funded by your intent.
Say that again. Say that again. What was that?
I think that what we're going to find as we go through and we see this change in the payment landscape, that people won't just make a simple payment anymore, but rather that their life is going to be funded by their intent.
People won't make a simple payment. Their life will be funded by their intent.
With the AI agents acting on their behalf.
With the AI agents acting on their behalf. Yeah, what do you mean by that?
We'll say that for the next episode.
Okay.
Or we'll talk after.
Okay. Okay. Well, anything else, James? You said you had some questions or something for me.
No, I think I got them all.
You did them? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm going to continue refining James AI, and maybe one day we'll have it host trivia for Chase.
That would be fun.
That would be
like
fun.
when they had Watson on Jeopardy back in the day.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
So maybe in a future episode.
Somebody should start asking me some questions. I'm the one asking all these questions. But okay, I think we covered. I wanted to hear from you where we came from, where we are, and where we're going. I think we covered that. I also wanted to talk about how people can use it now. People that would listen to this show. Definitely
start. You don't want to continue falling behind.
I'm telling you, man. That tip that I gave, just use it as your Google. Start there. That I know a lot of people that have started it that way, and also in my experience, it gives you a lot more information, but also gives better information. The Google AI thing is horrible. I don't know if you've noticed that it's just like wrong all the time, or will just give me information that I was not asking for at all.
Well, a lot of the AI is now built around your personality, so that might say something about the user.
Wow. That was good.
Your results may vary.
James finally got one in on me.
But seriously though, $20 a month is not.
You don't even have to pay for it. I don't pay for ChatGPT. You can only ask it so many questions a day.
I mean, there is
a
free tier, but it really is worth going that next tier up.
If you're using it for work, oh yeah.
I mean, use it for everything. Work.
Yeah, well.
Personal life.
Pantry
school,
inventory.
Pantry inventories. There are quite a few promos right now. Not that they're sponsored by any of this. But there's quite a few programs, students. I saw a program that there's a free year of Gemini for students if you use your student ID. Perplexity was running a similar promo. I don't know if they still are now at the time of this recording. But keep your eye out because constantly there's new promos all the time, especially around holidays. So.
School's another one that we didn't touch on that we probably don't have time to dive into, but I know you use it for school a lot.
I do. And there was a whole discussion on AI and ethics, and it's a rabbit hole.
Maybe we talk about that one another time when AI can just do everybody's homework for them.
There we go.
That's what you do, right? Wow. Gotcha. All right. I think we are good on this one, James. Like I said at the beginning, subscribe, follow YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok.
If you go to paycastnetwork.com/follow, you'll see all of our links.
All of them. Yep. You can go to the site as well to subscribe to the mailing list. And, we have a Paycast Network Facebook group that we will be having
parties
and celebrations. Ian's in there. He's partying in there a lot.
Great place to go in. Just ask questions.
But
if you're new to the industry, if you need a refresher on anything, it's a solid community to reach out.
Yep. Yeah. So join that. We are having a lot of sales-specific conversations at the moment, merchant services, obviously. But we are doing episodes, having discussions outside of just specifically that, like this one, AI and so on, that we will be talking about stuff like that in that group as well. So go find the Paycast Network group on Facebook and join that. But yeah, I think we're good on this one.
And until next time, I'm James Ringstaff with my co-host, Chase Gunnell. Thank you for watching.
And thank you for joining us on this episode of the Paycast Network.
Listen, you said we were working on the outros. That's my attempt.
I think we just leave that. You good with that? Okay.